Hello lovelies, it's Lex and I have a pretty ambitious speed build here. I knew that I wanted to make like a little old-fashioned, like the red brick schoolhouses that have the bell and all that good stuff. But I've never made one before and I didn't really have a game plan at all. So I kind of just went in to the build with this idea of what I wanted to build and kind of just winged it along the way. So it's, I guess, a pretty standard shape for these. I mean, I've never actually been in one of these old school houses, but whenever I see them, they seem to be really square, maybe have a little bit of a protruding in the front for the door, and then they have the little bit of the steeple thing on the upper floor. There usually isn't an upstairs. They're just like one floor, big open schoolhouse kind of thing, and then they have like the larger, taller roof portion that has the what would normally be the bell, but we don't really have a bell. So I kind of ended up changing the shape of this later on and deleting that very top portion and replacing it with one of the like roof adornments, because it's a little bit open, because it would have the roof and then there would just be kind of posts, and then the bell would hang down in the middle and it would be open. It wouldn't be closed off like this. So I do end up changing that, and then I do end up kind of adding more windows and a few other things once we get into doing the interior of it. This one's a little bit of a long build. I have this sped up and it's still like 10-11 minutes or something. The actual build itself probably took me about an hour, which isn't that long. I know there's some people that when they build and it takes them hours and hours and hours to do stuff, and I feel like that's because I'm not a super crazy perfectionist when it comes to this stuff. If I like the way that it looks and I'm happy with how it is, I kind of just let it go. I don't mess with it consistently forever to try to get it absolutely perfect. It's as long as I'm happy with it, then it's fine to me. But so that's what I end up changing the roof adornment to, is like, it's kind of, I don't know, it's almost like Italian-y Art Deco kind of looking to me, but it works fine for the purpose that I was, going for here. I did end up putting like a little bit of a back porch on as well, because I knew that I was going to have like a very small little playground in the back, and I, didn't want them to have to go from the very front of the school just to get into the back here. But it was originally going to just have the entire interior totally open, and then I was just going to have just separate rooms for the 2 bathrooms that I have in it. But once I get into the interior, I decided that I was going to kind of section it off into different classrooms. Obviously, there aren't going to be like actual teachers there, but you could have a family go here and they could all be doing skill building things. Or you could just have like, teens and kids go here to do homework if you wanted to. Or you could definitely set this up as the headquarters for a club if you were doing like a kids club or like a book club or something. Even a music club, whatever. There's tons of skill building items once we get into the interior of it that are really nice. A lot of it is more kids oriented since it was kind of supposed to be a school. But there are some adult things in there as well, because it ends up having a kitchen and then a full music room. So it has guitars, violins, and then there's a piano as well. But you could always, change anything out to whatever you wanted. I did end up using a little bit of the restaurant stuff. I thought that the sign for the restaurants would be a great thing to have out front. Like, it's the sign for the school. So I ended up using one of those. And then the playground's not super, super big. It just has the monkey bars and then the pirate ship. But I do end up putting a bunch of picnic tables out back as well, because this schoolhouse has a kitchen. So like I was saying, you could have whole families come here and make a day of it and let the kids do skill building items and whatever, and there's still bathrooms and there's a kitchen. So you would be able to cook, it's a full kitchen, fridge, and stoves. So you can do, whatever you wanted. It's not just like a cooler with a couple cans of pop and that's all you have. But I'm pretty happy with how the build turned out. Did a little bit of landscaping out front, but not too much. It's just pretty simple. And then this is where I end up putting our picnic tables here. I do give those a little bit more room, move that wall back there, because I was worried about the Sims not being able to get into all the picnic tables, so they're spaced out a little bit. But what are we doing here? Just putting in some sidewalks, so it goes back to the 2 gates. I have 1 gate on either side, so there's actually pretty decent amount of ways to get into here, but there isn't a ton out front. There's, a little bit of landscaping, some bushes and things, but nothing too significant. I do go in and put dirt underneath all of them as well. That's like one of my pet peeves, I guess, with building. Just myself, it doesn't bother me if other people don't do it, but anytime that I put any kind of like shrubbery outside, I have to put dirt underneath it. I can't just like leave it with the grass. It's super, super, super bugs me. I don't know why, just because it's like, you know, normally if you would be planting stuff, there definitely would be dirt underneath it. I don't know, it's weird. So the interior, like I said, does end up getting split up here. So these two rooms I'm doing now are just two totally identical bathrooms. They should just be like unisex bathrooms. Anybody should be able to use them. I didn't like put a specific door on each one. I think they're just like the both gender bathrooms, so it shouldn't be a big deal. But they're totally identical. There's nothing different between either of them. So they're both just toilet, sink, mirror. I put a garbage can in each, and then just a paper towel dispenser. So they were a little bit more realistic, I suppose. But you know, not a ton, because it doesn't matter. But the whole school has the same flooring throughout, except in the bathrooms and in the kitchen. I decided to go with like a dark blue tile, and all of the rooms have the same like white paneled and paint wall on all of them. But yeah, so this one that I'm doing now ends up being the like art room. I really wanted to have like a fake blackboard and all that kind of stuff, but the rooms are a little bit small. I didn't want this to be like a gigantic build. Like I wanted it to be large enough that there would be a decent amount of stuff in there, but I just didn't want it to become some huge, ginormous build that was going to take me forever to work on. So it ends up being a little bit smaller than I would have liked, but it still totally, suits the purpose. So most of the decoration in the art room is butterflies, but I ended up just going with I just wanted color in there so that it would come off as like an artsy kind of creative sort of room. And then this other one that's the totally identical shape, totally identical size is like a science room. So I just ended up putting 3 of the like science experiment tables in there. So this portion of the school is definitely more kid oriented since there's only kids items towards the front. And then just put the science one in there and just some like older looking pictures and some flags is what we ended up doing in that one. I am going to save semi-frequently in here just because I've been doing laundry and like going upstairs, downstairs and doing a couple different things, and I was so worried about losing my progress, so there are a few saves in there. And then this room on the left that I'm working on here, I wasn't totally sure what I wanted to do with it right away. It does end up being our music room, but I kind of was like, oh, this one's a little bit bigger. It's shaped a little bit differently. Maybe I can have this one have like fake desks and put a blackboard in here. Or maybe it'll be like a cafeteria area. And then I remembered I had the picnic tables outside. So that all gets scrapped. And then it does end up being our music room eventually. I did realize that I only have adult violins in here. I don't have kids violins. But like I said, you could add them or, change the school, or just you could make this a house if you really wanted to. You could get rid of it, all the school like type things, and just have Sims move in here. I have it just set as a generic lot, but you can always change that if you'd like to and have it be anything that you wanted. I didn't want to make it a park lot or a library lot just because I didn't want to mess with all the things that they require you to have for those sorts of lots, so I thought generic was just the best idea for this one. But we have our piano, 2 guitars, and 2 violins, but like I said, they aren't child violins, so those might have to get changed at some point if you wanted to have it be like totally functional for kids in every single room. And then on the other side, it's the same identical shape as our music room. That ends up being the full-size kitchen. So there's the fridge, there's 2 stoves, a dishwasher, a sink, and some cabinetry and that kind of stuff. Yeah, so then I'm going to go in and change our tile to blue here. Sorry about the weird little break there. I forgot to edit out some stuff. There was this big gap of the, stuff just sitting there and me not building anything because I had to run downstairs to change laundry over. But the bathroom, the kitchen's a very minimalistic kind of thing. It's just our cabinetry, the 2 stoves, and I put a little bit of clutter in there, but not a lot. There is the sink and the dishwasher and 1 garbage can, but since this is supposed to be like a school environment, I just didn't think that there would be tons of junk all over the walls in here and just tons of stuff everywhere, because it would be more about efficiency and making sure that they had all the kids fed and they had everything done and everything was neat and put away, rather than there being lots and lots of extra junk lying around, because it's just more things that they would have to clean up later on. Just changing our lights around a little bit here. And this middle portion ends up being kind of like a hangout sort of spot. I do have one of the like Jenga Don't Wake the Llama games. Do you guys hear that motorcycle? That's the only bad thing about this room that I recorded, is the street is right behind me and I have 2 windows in here, and it's just like everything gets picked up, and I don't know how to like make it so that doesn't happen because it's really annoying. So I did throw some lockers in there just for ambiance, and then we have 2 little seating areas. I ended up taking those couches out and then replacing them with more like kid-friendly, kid-looking seating area here. But there's our like Jenga game in the center, so you just, you walk in, you put your junk away, the kids would have a place to relax and hang out for a little bit before they had to go to school, if this was like an actual kind of thing. And even like if you had parents hanging out, there's tons of space here and there's tons of stuff to do in this build. And like I said, I am pretty happy with how it came out. I think it's super cute, so I'm hoping that you guys like it as well. I'm just going to throw some flags on either side of the rooms here, and then I believe I put in maybe a little bit more wall art and maybe change a couple light fixtures, but that's basically it for this build, guys. I hope you really enjoyed the schoolhouse. I hope that you enjoyed the build. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Make sure you leave a like, subscribe, let me know how your day's going down in the comments because I love to read them, and let me know if you downloaded this and ended up adding it to your neighborhood and using it as like a club hangout or using it as a like pretend school or whatever. But have a really great rest of your night, guys, and I will see you next time.